Good evening, guys. Dean here from Untraceable Fishing. Yeah, once again with Don from Bull Moria Fishing Tackle, and welcome to Tackle Tuesday. Okay, so Don, I see we have two beautiful Herty Rise rods on the table here. What can you tell us about them?
Yeah, well, Herty Rise has certainly made a name for itself in the rock and surf market. In the last few years, we've seen their colourful rods, the purples and the greens and the golds and that.
Yeah, I've seen
certainly more and more common on the rocks. A lot of guys fishing comps and that kind of thing, you certainly see them. They're quite national level, eh?
They're quite distinctive. You can pick them up a mile away if you know the colours.
Pretty much so. But the one we got tonight, the Kyasuto, this is the black limited edition.
Okay.
Especially for us guys who are a little more conservative and we like a plain coloured rod.
And I like how things to match. There are some of us out there.
It matches all reels, which is quite nice. You know, most reels, a silver or black reel would look pretty good on there.
It looks sick, yeah.
Even your pen boys, you'd look okay. It's not going to clash in any way. But yeah, certainly worldwide, they've been around for quite a while.
Correct.
Got a huge reputation in Japan.
I see that, yeah.
The guys holding the lures there, the high-end rods. Herty Rise, massive brand. And the South African division, they've put together these rock and surf rods. And they're good stuff. They've built quite a solid following. Below this, they've got an entry-level one called your Tanoshi.
Tanoshi, correct.
Nice little rod, eh?
Yeah.
Certainly.
We held one the other day and it actually felt like...
Worthwhile looking at. My general takeaway from them is they've got most of them have fairly soft action.
Yeah.
And what that gives them, they're pretty easy casting. If you're the kind of guy, you're not necessarily an experienced caster, or you battle to get your timing spot on, and this whole bionic finger thing just seems to be throwing you out, and you're casting left and right and everywhere, which does happen to some guys. They certainly do struggle. And that slightly slower action makes it easier to load up the rod.
100%.
And also, I think sometimes if you're an angler that's not quite as strong, maybe a junior or a lady, or perhaps someone who's getting a little more elderly like us, you know, getting...
Or smaller balls like me.
Or smaller stature. That kind of action can certainly suit a lot of people. I think that's why they've grown in popularity. They've got a unique action. And a lot of guys they're trying to put a big bait on, and you know, a lot of guys just totally miss time on a big bait. Yeah. These things are pretty easy to slot out and get a decent cast on, I think, is one of the claims to fame. Nice lightweight blanks as well, well kitted with decent quality guards.
I see that,
They come in a nice case, very much like most high-end rods would. The black version here is the same as the purple, which is very popular. Yeah. I didn't quite take to the purple myself. I thought it was a little too blingy. Yeah.
Maybe. The black's nice and subtle. I like it.
It is more subtle, absolutely. And a good spec rod. What is a bit different to some of the ones joint-wise, they're just running a conventional joint. And they still seem to have a pretty good action through. I didn't feel any hot spots in the rod and that. So got quite a nice flex right the way through. Myself, I don't necessarily enjoy a flex into the butt. Yeah. I like something a little sturdier down with more of a tight spot.
Tip action.
Yeah, I like to load and twang. Yeah. And this is not quite a twang rod. It's more of a slower action rod.
Slower casting.
It slows down your action, but as I said, it gets you distance without being perfect. Okay. So the action can be quite sloppy and you're still getting a good distance. So good all-rounder rod. The carbon in them, good, but I wasn't blown away. I think they certainly are a strong rod. You guys have accounted pretty well for some big fish. We've seen some huge skates and
I've seen some black rays and things coming out.
Yeah, some big fish come out. And
you can pull them hard.
You can pull them hard. But the one that really excited me was the one just up from it.
That's the one we got, the Sakara.
The Sakara is the newer launch. About 1,000 Rand more retail than the Kyasuto. Okay. But straight away, when you pick it up, you can just feel that carbon's got that twang.
A little bit more crispy.
Still got the same kind of action through, but it's a little more powerful. It's crisper action. I know the guys get into the different types of carbons and numbers and that, but it's amazing how you can pick up a rod straight away and know what you're getting.
You can feel its value. Yeah.
Very much so. And little tweaks as well. I noticed the finish on the reel seats and it looks a little bit better as well.
Just the winch is quite pretty.
Yeah, it's got a. They put a little more effort into that. I think they should invest some money in that, and they're all this like silvery gunmetal color, which is really sweet. I quite like the rod, and it just feels a little bit better to my style of casting. Yeah. So I think if I was going to go Herty Rise, I'd probably look at my choice there. again, that in this case, they do a 15-foot 5-7. They don't do any 14.6s.
Okay.
And they're mainly aimed at the 3 heavier models. This is the baby of the range.
Yeah.
The 5-7. They're going all the way up to, I think, to 7 to 9 ounce.
So for big edibles
yeah,
or non-aids.
Big non-aids, actually, this is their main claim to fame. So the guys, if you're casting big baits, this is one of the ones to certainly shortlist. And I haven't had the joy of casting one yet.
Yeah.
I must admit, I had a few flicks around on the shop here and that, but you know, some rod actions you've actually got to get used to.
Correct.
I remember my bluefish when I first started throwing, I was like, it's okay, but I wasn't super excited.
About it.
But once I got used to that 5 ounce and got used to the loading,
you started
to push some big distance, which is, absolutely. And I mean, the first time I tried to Kuma Precision, I was like, yeah. And I found there it actually handled like I had a 3 to 4 ounce. It felt awesome in a 3 ounce. 4 ounce didn't feel right.
Yeah.
But that is early days of my spinning conversion. So as your experience grows in that, I think so your demands in a rod grow.
Correct.
It's kind of the... But yeah, Hearty Rise, certainly a brand worthwhile looking at, guys. They've grown very strong in South Africa and definitely give them a stamp of approval. They also, the agents are doing a lot of stuff on the lure side of things in that as well.
Yeah.
Jig heads, your deep sea slow pitch jigs and that. There's quite a range of stuff the guys are doing. So certainly growing in the South African market and becoming a presence.
I think it falls under Fishman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Fishman.
Fishman
would be...
If you guys want to check them out, then Fishman is what you need to look for.
And we've got the full range on our online shop. And I must admit, they certainly are becoming more and more popular.
Yeah. We're
seeing demand growing steadily on an ongoing basis. So guys are certainly enjoying them.
Yeah.
What's really cool about the Kyasuto here is that's our 3rd lucky draw prize in the up-and-coming Monster Shad Comp.
Okay. So someone's... You'd be eligible to take away one of those.
You buy a turnaround ticket, you try to catch a shad, and if you don't catch a shad, you've got a pretty good chance of walking away with a rod worth about $8,000 odd.
Yeah. So you're telling me if I enter the competition, I don't catch a fish, I can still win that rod?
You stand a pretty good chance of winning that rod.
Look at that, guys.
We were working out the odds the other day, like 1 in 10, 1 in 20. So it's way better than the lotto. Probably better than betting on the box. You know, I mean, it's a pretty good bet. So one of the awesome prizes we got.
Fantastic.
And I look forward to somebody making somebody a happy angler out there pretty soon.
Definitely.
So yeah, check out the comp details. You'll see them on the next videos. But yeah, Hearty Rise, doing well, guys.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay, guys, new little slot we got is like what's new. And I know we always like new goodies and new products.
Always.
McCarthy have brought out a new 5.5-inch cob slinky. I like the 5.5-inch because I think casts the best. I know you guys like 6-inch in it sometimes. But your 5.5 travels sweetly. This is a new color called BABWE.
I see that. Very interesting color.
I'm trying to remember it from the name Zimbabwe. So BABWE. It's quite a dark red, reddy black, with a bit of a fleck in it.
I see it's got some different color glitters in there too.
It has, yeah. And I know your reds in particular in your freshwater market, your bass and that, this is one of the go-to colors.
Oh, yes, 100%.
So, but where would you think a darker lure would gain traction? Like, why would I go? McCarthy's an amazing range. They've got like probably the best spread of colors in the country. But why go dark?
There's 2 instances I particularly use dark, either in crystal conditions, very clean conditions, or at night time when the light's not good.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah. There's one theory I've yet to try it, and I want to try it in the harbour at some stage in East London, is a lot of guys say if you've got some lighting around, some ambient light, like a full moon, is you actually do a topwater retrieve with a paddle tail.
You get that contrast.
And you get a nice silhouette. And if you've got any lighting there in that, the idea is the cob will smack it from the bottom.
Correct.
So your darker color will definitely give you that better silhouette.
Contrast.
And I think also very, very murky off-color water, I think the darker color should be more visible.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe one of the reasons. It's just a little more contrasty against some murky brown water or off-color green. You know, it's just a little more vis. And maybe that's a good way to go. Where sometimes your whites and your pinks disappear.
You wash out too quickly.
Yeah, no, very much so. So a new one, guys, on the shelves now. BABWE. Remember the name? And the slinky, way to go. 100% approved. Nice product.
We're definitely going to add one of those to our tackle box range.
I'll give a few a fling and try to find some nice early winter cob. I think
some nice 10 kilo plus ones.
I'll try. You try. Yeah.
So moving on to Q&A. I know we had an interesting question come through from one of the subscribers. Don, can you tell us a bit more about what the subscriber asked?
Yeah, one of the guys was moving down to Cape St. Francis area, and he was asking, he wants to buy 3 setups, rod and reel, and to cover basically all his bases.
Okay.
And what do we recommend? It's quite a broad-based question, eh?
It is quite a broad base, but I'm sure we could find 3 that would cover all these aspects of fishing.
What did your first go to? Like your middle? I think your middle ground's always your good.
Yeah.
If you can only afford one rod,
yeah.
What's the general one setup you go for?
For myself, I'd probably go for like a 14 or 15 foot, say maybe 3 to 5 or 4 to 6 ounce.
Yeah. We found the 14.6 3 to 5 ounce in the last couple of years as a new type of rod, but all the brands, that's become one of the top sellers.
Correct.
It's light enough to handle like a bluefish or a blacktail, a 3 ounce sinker, but you can push a 5 ounce in a good bait, and you can start targeting your surf and your pig nose and your cob. And 14.6 gives you a pretty good cost,
100%.
Without being too heavy in there. So maybe the 4 to 6 ounce, if I was airing more towards my muscle cracker and that, I'd think of a 4 to 6. But then I'm also going to kind of negate my little bluefish and blacktail to some degree.
Yeah.
What kind of reel would we pair with that though? Look, okay, just to give, I know pricing is always a horrible thing, but anything from about 2 to about 4,000 rand, you should get a lovely rod.
Yeah,
kind of
correct.
3-piece, bionic finger, brand of your choice. Okay.
I think reel size, I'm not going into specifics of what reels to put on, all depends on your budget. So reel size, a rod that size maybe a 10,000, I'd pretty much...
Yeah, 10, I use 10,000 with mine. You get away with an 8,000 as well. I think depending on brand, sometimes like even a Big Boss, which is a cheaper reel, even a 6,000 size would do on that.
Correct,
So you've got to kind of get the balance right. If you're sticking to 30 pound, you can kind of go a little smaller in the reel. If you're pushing 40 pound or wanting more than 300 meters of line, then a 10,000 kind of makes sense.
I think something that's holding between like say 300 and 400 meters or 300 meters of braid, should be enough on that top setup.
It's a good edible setup. And again, the reel you can spend anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000. It's quite a wide setup. The more money you spend, the more waterproof it's going to be. Kind of like we spoke about last week. But even the 1,000 rand reels, just over the 1,000 rand mark, $2,000 mark, they're pretty solid stuff. They're going to last you and look after them. You're going to get some good year service.
Correct.
And they can haul fish.
They can handle good fish.
Absolutely. So that's our general go-to setup. And I think that would suit down actually anywhere in the country. I'd fish that anywhere. I'd have no qualms fishing that. But I know St. Francis has got some nice little estuaries in there as well. And you might want to do some gully fishing. How do you like a 14.6 for a gully?
I'm not the biggest fan of that. It's a bit I'd step down to like an 11 foot or something like that.
It just doesn't feel right. No. I'm trying to land in a narrow patch of 4 or 5 meters of water, and I land on the rocks next to it. I'm like, I can't get that accurate casting.
Especially like with the longer rods, your 13, 14 foot rods, if you're casting them at like 30% of the power, you can't get that sinker to go where it wants.
Like you want to do a 20 meter flick.
No, it doesn't work.
It just doesn't work. So they're like an 11 or 12 foot type rod. Maybe rated like 1 to 3 ounce.
More like a drop shot style rod with a longer butt.
Absolutely. It doesn't even have to have a bionic finger. I think if you're only going up to 3 ounce, you can get away with not having a bionic finger. What is quite cool about that is you can also double up, as you said, drop shot. So the same rod you can go for shad, you can use it for bait, you can use it for putting drop shot,
scratching around,
putting some spoons out as well. Quite a versatile setup. You can also maybe compromise a little bit on the budget there. You can get a pretty good rod in that class from about 800 rand to about $2,000 odd. You don't have to spend big time on that kind of rod. And you can get a really sweet rod for less than $2,000. You're talking like an Archipelago would come to mind. So there are quite a few really good rods. And reel-wise?
Reel-wise, listen, on an 11 foot, I'd put something, depending on the brand, maybe a 5,000 or 6,000. I think would be more than what you don't need anything more than that.
If you're really on a uber budget, you could maybe go your bigger rod in a 6,000 reel and use it in that light one.
Correct.
But if the budget allows, maybe a 5,000 would do the trick.
Perfect.
Again, you're probably holding 20 or 30 pound braid. 30 pound if you're getting more ambitious, but 20 pound if you're looking for distance. And I don't think in that drop shot type setup, unless you're doing the wading out far, you can probably kind of get away with a slightly cheaper reel.
100%,
I think even a lot of guys who do a lot of drop shot don't even mind buying a well sub 1,000 rand reel.
Just getting the mileage out of it and replacing it every year or two.
I spoke to one guy today. Literally, he fishes for eight odd months. His 500 rand reel dies. He takes it off and throws it away
and replaces it.
Throws it in the sea. He says it becomes a reef. And he carries on fishing. So you can, but it's a nice testing of the carbon drag in that though, and you can get a pretty good reel there for between 1 and 2K. I think is certainly a good setup. Okay, so we've covered the gullies. We've covered, what haven't we covered?
What about St. Francis? There's some big, ugly things swimming around there.
There are.
I think we need something that can take care of those guys.
I know you're a shark boy.
Yes.
So the tooth trains of thought here.
Yes, you can either go big edible or
my suggestion to him was 7 foot.
Yeah. Oh, okay, on the lighter side.
A little like 2.5, 3,000 size reel. Something I can use for scratching in the gullies and that. Maybe get some smaller blacktail because you get some small fish down there as well.
Yeah, correct.
But I can use it in the river. I can use it for light tackle, drop shot.
Correct, yeah.
I can go for spotties with it.
Little Learys and whatever.
Yeah, little Learys in the estuarine environment. And there's some nice little pig nose in those rivers as well. So yeah, a 7 foot is actually quite a lacquer little setup. I enjoy fishing light. And you'd be amazed the KG blacktail you can catch on the 7 foot.
Oh, no, you can have good fun on it.
And they give you horns. It's a lot of fun. And it way outfishes a heavier rod in certain circumstances.
I know, 100%.
That is very true, yeah. So there you can get a lacquer little 7 foot rod and reel for 1.5K
for both.
Rod and reel, awesome. $600-700 is to get you a lacquer rod.
Yeah.
You can spoil yourself with something better, but there's nothing.
You don't need anything more than that.
No, you don't need more than that. And there, braid wise, we're often fishing like 10-15 pound.
Correct.
And you can pull pretty hard on that stuff. Yeah. From an Uber budget, I might even go mono there.
Yeah.
Light mono, 4 kg, 5 kg.
That's all you
can catch.
Like we used to use back in the days and catch good fish on.
Yeah, but then all you guys are shark for script. You're the shark man. Tell us.
I'm trying to be the shark man, but anyway, listen. Shark, like that's a whole aspect of its own. So let's say we were going for that 3 to 5 or that 4 to 6 ounce.
Yeah.
Then I'd look for something maybe a 6 to 8 ounce or a 7 to 9 ounce rod. If you really want the bigger end of the non-heads.
Yeah. I think it's got to be, you got to be a little bit, a lot of guys, we had one of our customers, one of our suppliers actually was here, and he comes from a carp fishing background, and he just wants to catch sharks.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain amount of experience to cast a 7 to 9 ounce.
Oh, no, yes, no, it does.
Even a 6 to 8 ounce. Shark fishing on a budget, Oaks, is hard.
No, it's not easy.
It's just your bait and your terminal tackle.
Yeah.
It's like
you've got to use the best of everything, unfortunately.
I think learn the ropes.
Yeah.
That medium outfit we spoke to, I've seen some. I saw a hammerhead a while ago of about 1.2 meter come out on a 14-foot bluefish. So you can manage.
No, you can
manage. But if the big heavy tackle thing bites you, certainly worthwhile doing. And there's something we spoke a while ago about $5,000 odd.
Yeah.
Plus for a reasonable setup.
Reel and rod,
Yeah. So from there upwards, a big shark, big skate, it's going to test your tackle hard.
100%.
And test your knots hard.
Knots hard, your hooks hard, your swivels hard, everything hard.
Best quality braid you can afford. Best 100%. Quality leader you can afford. So it's certainly a different package. If you're not into the shark thing down there, that's kind of the last thing I'd buy.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think you can cover all your other bases. I'd rather have the 12 foot than the 7 to 9 ounce.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm going to use it more often. I think shark fishing is fairly specialist.
Yeah.
And you kind of got to fish with mates in that. You can't land big sharks on your own too easily.
You sometimes need 2 guys to go wrestle that thing out the water.
It's a team sport. Might be worthwhile going with 1 or 2 guys in that area, getting onto some big bronzies and see if you enjoy it.
And they'll provide you with the tackle, so you don't have to go outlay and see if you enjoy it.
Absolutely. And the sore back and the tired arms. Yeah, it can be a factor. So hopefully it kind of answers your question. You can catch fish on a budget.
Yeah.
I was talking to a youngster today. You can start off on a 400-500 rand reel. It's going to catch your fish. Might not last you as long.
Yeah.
You can start off on like 800 rand rod.
And move your way up as you go.
It'll do the job. So that's all. What I kind of asked myself is, how often am I doing this? Once a month, maybe I'll get about something a bit cheaper. If it's a little more committed than that, you're going to enjoy a nicer setup, I think, is the main criteria. And fishing tackle is pretty honest. The more you pay, the better. The better
100%. You get what you're paying for.
You're not paying $5,000 for a dud rod.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist in the market. Cool. So glad you hit us with any more Q&As. We like to hear from you guys, and we like to hear your opinions and your questions. And we haven't got to all of them, but we'll get to them as we go. Promise you that.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you, Don, for that expertise input there. Anyway, guys, thanks all for joining us this evening. Please remember to like and subscribe on Traceable Fishing. Go check BABWE out on their Facebook page. Until next time,
this is Tackle Tuesday.